Hello, everyone. Welcome back to TQ Plus Ckery Friday, the place for your gender news and meme roundup. In the genderverse of politics this week, happy belated Easter, or as Biden would put it, happy Transgender Day of Visibility. Not that I expect the American president to elevate a Christian holiday in what is supposed to be a secular country, but he would have been far better off just wishing the nation a very special Sunday and leave it at that, rather than pandering to a small group of, let's face it, mostly heterosexual men who, for whatever reason, get off on being seen as women, get off sexually, or get off as a power trip. Not sure that this particular minority really merits displacing a major world religion. Moving from Easter to April Fools, a new Scottish hate crime law went into effect this past Monday, which protects people with certain characteristics from hate speech. These characteristics include age, disability, race, sexual orientation, and gender identity. It does not, however, include sex, which means that women are fair game. What is particularly unusual and controversial about this new law is that someone with a protected characteristic can claim to be the victim of a hate crime if he or she is merely offended or claims to be offended by what someone has said. Therefore, if a woman, non-protected category, refers to a trans woman, protected category, as a man or a biological male, and the trans woman feels or says he feels offended, he could report the woman and she could potentially receive a hate crime strike on her civic records or even face imprisonment. However, if a trans woman, protected, calls a woman, not protected, any number of abusive slurs referring to her sex, she is not covered by this law. So J.K. Rowling fired the first shot across the bow by publishing a series of tweets celebrating 10 quote-unquote women, i.e. trans women, i.e. men. These individuals included Beth Douglas, Scottish Green Party member and axe-wielding trans activist. Double rapist Isla Bryson. Katie Dolatowski, who sexually assaulted a 12-year-old girl in a supermarket restroom. Girl dick flasher Samantha Norris. Scottish butcher Amy George, who abducted an 11-year-old girl and molested her. Juliana Valentino, a 30-year-old, quote-unquote, girls soccer player. And yes, that is Valentino with the male pattern baldness. Marie Duawadwa, Chief Executive of the Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre, who has expressed the notion that female rape victims need to challenge their prejudices against persons with penises, as some women have penises too and deserve to be treated in a rape crisis center as much as they do. Monroe Bergdorf, who seems to believe that England's original suffragettes were a bunch of privileged white cis Karens. Katie Neves, United Nations Women's UK delegate and self-declared woman and lesbian. And finally, India Willoughby, TV host and irksome bully who would like to see J.K. Rowling and any other women who dare call him a man in police custody. No fewer than 3 male weightlifters have won women's powerlifting competitions in the last couple of weeks. In Canada, Anne Andres outperformed his female competitors by a whopping 500 pounds. But I'm sure that with just a little more effort and dedication, women can take back the record. Now, ladies, don't blame it on male puberty and a lifetime of testosterone. We all know that transgender science has shown that the only meaningful difference between men and women is in the mind, or soul, gendered soul. Audrey Yun placed first in the BC Winter Open on February 17, 2024. Yun, a biological male, previously threatened to urinate beside female athletes in the locker room. Gosh, that Audrey is a firecracker, huh? And in the U.S., a trans-identified male won in the women's division of the 2024 USA Weightlifting Masters Nationals, which took place between March 21st and 24th in Reno, Nevada. 57-year-old Vicky Piper came in first place in the women's 76-kilogram weight category, writing on Instagram that both lifts were competition personal records. And the women standing on the podium for the second and third place don't seem to mind a bit. They're just as happy as can be. That's right, smile ladies, hashtag be kind. Meanwhile, actual female powerlifter, Canadian April Hutchinson, sits on a 2-year ban for having referred to athletes such as Andres, Yun, and Piper as biological males. Let's have a quick look at the policy which put her on this timeout. CPU, Canadian Powerlifting Union, Transgender and Gender Diversity Inclusion Policy, Section 9.2, which states 9.2, openly contesting or protesting an athlete's right to compete in their competitive category is prohibited and could be considered psychological maltreatment and a violation of the CPU Code of Conduct. It is also in violation of the CPU Code of Conduct and the social media, whatever comes next. Over in the Netherlands, a women's darts competition was recently won by a man named Noelyn van Leuven, on the right, inspiring 2 of his female teammates to drop off the Dutch team, on the left. And a women's soccer club in Australia called the Flying Bats managed to achieve what few other teams achieve in this sport: to score 10 goals in one game, with a single player scoring 6 of these goals. The Flying Bats went undefeated in a 4-week tournament called the Beryl Ackroyd Cup. What was the secret to their success, you may wonder? The team is home to no fewer than 5 assigned male-at-birth players, including one Riley J. Dennis. Yes, self-proclaimed lesbian icon Riley J. Dennis, who seems to have an unfortunate knack for injuring female opponents. Here, Riley in black seems to use his big-ass male frame to clip a female opponent who dared to recuperate the ball and send her flying into a metal fence. Bravo, Flying Bats, for contributing to the death of female sports. In the genderverse of medicine and silly medical terminology, while doing some personal research on the Mayo Clinic website, I came across the following. Factors that may increase the risk of thyroid cancer include female sex. Thyroid cancer occurs more often in women than in men. Experts think it may be related to the hormone estrogen. People who are assigned female at birth generally have higher levels of estrogen in their bodies. Can you find an excessively and unnecessarily wordy phrase which could be changed for purposes of clarity and brevity? I am sure that this entire word salad phrase can be replaced by a simple single word, but I can't remember what it is. I think it has 5 letters though. And now for this week's memes. Caitlyn Jenner or Peg Bundy? Boy checks out sister's Barbie doll. White moms, it's showtime! In honor of Easter, which did not receive its proper dues, stop giving me your toughest battles. Just use the men's room, Richard. And finally, when you're the prettiest girl in the entire gender-neutral bathroom. Take care and see you next time. Bye-bye.